ጤና ይስጥልኝ ተመልካቾቻችን ይህ በዳያስፖራ ቲቪ የተዘጋጀ የሚቀርብላችሁ የጌራ ሾው ነው። ተመልካቾቻችን አሁንም እንግዲህ ፕሮግራማችንን ወደ መጨረሱ ላይ ነው ያለነው። የሚቀጥለው እንግዳይም ቀደም ብላ እንደነበረችው እንግዳይ እዚህ ሀገር ተወልዶ ነው ያደገው፣ ግን አሜሪካዊ ስለሆነ የምናደርገው ኢንተርቪውን በእንግሊዘኛ ነው እና የሚችለው አንዳንድ አማርኛ ቃላት ካለ እንግዲህ አብረን እንጠይቀዋለን ማለት ነው። አሁን የሱን መግቢያ አሰማችሁና እንግዳይን ወደ መድረኩ ጋብዛለሁ ማለት ነው። Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you our today's special guest, Matt Andrea, or Matt as we call him, who is a close friend of Ethiopians and who loves everything that is Ethiopian. Many Ethiopians affectionately call him Mattie. Matt Andrea is a photographer and lives in Washington, D.C. His first visit in Ethiopia in December 2006 and fall in love with the country and its culture. Since then, he has visited Ethiopia many times and taken thousands of pictures there. In Ethiopia, he visited almost all the places one who would wish. Matt is so passionate about photography and Ethiopia. Kind, innocent, positive, considerate, and helpful are some of the words many Ethiopians use to describe his character. His Facebook updates are mostly about Ethiopia and Ethiopians as much as they are about the day-to-day encounters and politics of the United States of America. Matt has also participated in many of Gera shows and taken amazing pictures of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Matt Andrea to the stage. Mr. Matt.
Mr. Gera.
Okay.
We never call each other Mr.
Well, yeah. Thank you for coming. It's a great honor to have you on the Gera-show.
It's a great honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And by the way, you look great.
Thank you.
May I please ask what kind of dress is this?
The jacket is a Dereje or Gamogofa jacket. I bought it in Arba Minch, which for those who don't know where Arba Minch is, it's in the south of Ethiopia.
Okay. We'll get that later to that. I was just curious when I see it. It looks beautiful on you.
Well, thank you.
Matt, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit? Where did you born, raised, and about your families, and then we'll continue with the rest.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Michigan. I was born in Grand Rapids. Mm-hmm. My parents were Midwestern. My father was from Wisconsin. My mother was from Michigan.
Okay.
I lived there through high school. But when I was a junior in high school, I came to Washington during my spring break and spent a couple weeks here and just fell in love with Washington, D.C. and decided this is where I really wanted to go to college. And so I applied to Georgetown University. I fortunately was accepted there. Majored in history, mm-hmm. and loved Washington so much that I've been here ever since. But my parents, when I was a kid, my parents always had exchange students from different countries living with my family.
Oh, really?
So from a very young age, mm-hmm. I had exposure, way beyond the Midwest to other cultures. We had exchange students from Japan, from Mexico, from Europe, from the Philippines, and so I had an interest in international life and getting out of the kind of the narrow Midwestern shelf from a very young age.
Tell me, how started your passion and interest about Ethiopia?
Well, it's all my daughter's fault. I have an older daughter who unfortunately couldn't be here today. But when she after she graduated from college, she said, "Daddy, I'd like to go to Ethiopia and learn Amharic." And I said, "Are you sure?"
There must be something behind it.
Well, no, I mean, she went to the University of Maryland. She had a lot of Ethiopian classmates at the school. Actually, I forgot to mention that she had gone there on a church trip.
Where? To Ethiopia?
To Ethiopia for about 8 days. And of course, I had let her go on that without asking too many questions. It seemed like a fun and exciting thing to do. But then she said, well, I really would like to go back to Ethiopia and learn the language. I love the culture. I love the people. I said, well, I'm not just going to send you there for a year to hang out and learn Amharic. I said, you have to find a good language program and figure out where you're going to stay, figure out what it's going to cost, and so on and so forth. Well, she did all of that, and there was a specific language school there operated by an organization called SIM, and they had a language program specifically for foreigners.
Okay.
And so she found that, they accepted her, and she went there, and then I thought, well, I'll let her get settled for a few months, and then I think I should go over there and see what this is all about. So when she had her Christmas break, I went there for 2 weeks, and we traveled all around. We went to Aksum, Lalibela, Gondar, Bahardar, Harar, and Awash National Park, all in a 2-week span.
Okay.
Plus spending some time in Addis. And I will just say that 2 weeks was life-changing experience for me. Because I was so smitten by the country and the people, the culture, the hospitality that, I know wasn't even finished with my first visit there when I was already starting to planning my second visit. And I've been back since that initial visit 7 times.
7 times, since 2006 until now.
Right.
It's very interesting. How many of us were 7 times since 2006 to Ethiopia? Matt, how many daughters do you have?
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
I have a younger daughter who is here in the audience, Francesca.
Hi. Thanks for coming.
And she's been to Ethiopia too. When my older daughter graduated from language school, it was at a time when I couldn't get off work, so I let her go there to attend the graduation.
That's right. Since you mentioned about the language school, language is a key to connect with people. What I mean is, knowing one language is like a magic key to open up people's heart and mind. And your daughter, she speaks fluent Amharic.
Yes.
How about you?
Tinish.
ትንሽ ትችላለህ?
Yakirta.
Matt, do you plan to learn more in the future?
Well, I pick it up every time I go there. Also, I have a lot of Ethiopian friends here in Washington, D.C., some of whom are in the audience here for me today. And they teach me a lot. But, I've never really systematically studied the language. I've never had actually sit down and learn the Fiedel. And I really should. And I hope I will be able to carve out some time in the future to do that. But in the meantime, I know a few expressions. I think I understand more than I can actually speak, just because I hear Amharic all the time. And I've even picked up a few words of Afan Oromo and Tigrinya.
But what did you like the most? You've been there 7 times. So which part of Ethiopia is fascinating you the most?
You know, that's a really difficult question because there are so many places that I'm really fond of. But if there was only one place that I could go, I would go to Lalibela.
Lalibela.
It is just such an amazing place. It's a very, very deep spiritual experience going there because you encounter these 11 churches that have been literally carved out of the mountain.
That's right.
And, you know, there's an expression that faith moves mountains. Mm-hmm. And to me, Lalibela is the manifestation of that. The first time I was there and stood above the most famous church, which is St. George Church, Bedi Georgis.
That's right.
It was a very hot day. The sun was beating down. I'd been sweating from all the hiking, but then when I just stood there, I felt chills. I mean, it was the spiritual energy was just so powerful. It overwhelmed me. I mean, when you think about it, these churches were created in the 13th century. What kind of tools did these people have? What kind of architectural and engineering skills did they have? How did they do it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But the plans have never been found. Even the tools with which they were cut out of the rock have never been found. In Ethiopian legend, they believe that men did the work, but then at night angels would come and do the things that men couldn't do. So it's a mystery, and I love mysteries. And just going there, you immerse yourself in the mystery, and it's very, very powerful. So,
Matt, you make me emotional too. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now let me take you back to the other side of my questions. I know your passion is for Lalibela, but today, if you have a chance to live in Ethiopia, where would you live exactly?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I would live in one place. I think, what I've discovered from my travels is that there are so many interesting places. And there are so many different things happening in different places that I would, really like to be able to travel around. One of the unique things about Ethiopia is that it has, very many spiritual and ethnic holidays and celebrations. So, for example, Christmas is celebrated. Well, it's celebrated all over Ethiopia. I can't say that it's right. Better, but right. In Lalibela, it's particularly exquisite because priests, monks, nuns, pilgrims, just the faithful come from all over Ethiopia to gather there at Christmas, and the Christmas is celebrated around the different churches and beautiful ceremonies. There's another spiritual festival called Timket. It's the festival of the baptism of Jesus. Well, in the town of Gondar, there's a pool that was built by the Emperor Fasilides specifically for this once a year feast. And at that time, they fill this pool with water, and they have baptism for thousands of people in this pool. And the celebration of Timket, again, is a very elaborate ritual. The priests come from all different churches. They carry the tabots, which are the replicas of the Ark of the Covenant, and just the processions of all coming to this one place and gathering. And then all night there's chanting and singing going on, and then in the morning, just as the sun is coming up, the priest, or not priest, the bishop, dips a cross into the water, blesses the water, and within seconds after the water being blessed, all the young people dive into this pool.
That's right.
To get baptized.
Yes.
So that's an unforgettable experience, and I can't wait to go back there and experience it again. But there are other things. There's the feast of Mescal, which is the celebration of the finding of the true cross. The Guragi people in southern Ethiopia are particularly fond of Mescal. So 2 years ago, I went to the Guragi area, and there Mescal wasn't just one day; it's like a week-long celebration, and you know, there's special food like kitfo and kocho and aib and menamen that you...
menamen. Okay.
And you're feasting every day. But I'll tell you, the biggest surprise when I went there was that, number one, they would eat kitfo for breakfast. I mean, I love kitfo, but you know, it's kind of surprising to have it for breakfast. But then, after the kitfo, they would have coffee, and the Guragi people like to put kebe, which is the clarified butter, in their coffee instead of cream. So you're drinking this this coffee with butter, and then they follow it with katikala. And for those who don't know,
now we're talking.
Now, and now you're finding out why I love Ethiopia so much. Katikala is Ethiopian moonshine. It's a beverage that is made from fermented barley usually, but there are other ingredients that can be used to make it as well. It's made not in big factories, but in people's homes, usually in a back room where they have a little still, and it's mostly made by women. But what surprised me in the Guragi area was that after the breakfast, the women would serve katikala, but they would also drink it. And I know a lot of Ethiopian women and Addis.
They get high with their own supply. Huh?
Yes, and you know they'll smell it, but they won't drink it. But the Guragi women, chigarelem. They have no problem. They serve it, and then they have a little bit. I mean, nobody drinks it in excess, but it's part of the
They're just tasting it a little
part of the ritual. And a lot of fun.
Matt, wow, you took a lot of pictures while you were in Ethiopia, and you taking those pictures just for the hobby, or you use them sometimes to introduce to the world how rich in culture Ethiopia is? And if you do that, what kind of feedbacks you get from people?
Oh, wow, that's a lot of questions. But first, let me say, you know, I've always been interested in photography my whole life. I started taking pictures when I was maybe 10 years old, and you know, as I got older, my parents gave me different cameras. So, you know, then when I was in college, I was the photo editor of the student newspaper at Georgetown, the Hoya. And then throughout my life, I was taking pictures, but when I went to Ethiopia, it was so picturesque, and there were so many photo opportunities, like everywhere I would turn, that it really, reignited my passion for photography in ways that other travel experiences had not. And so what I decided after the first trip was that, I thought that a lot of people have kind of a negative impression of Ethiopia. They think it's a desert. They think it's a place where everybody is starving, and there's kind of a negative mindset. And I thought I would like to use my photography to show people what an amazing, wonderful, and beautiful place it is. And so every time I go there, I take pictures, and then I organize them and edit them, and I have been exhibiting them now for about the last 6 years. I've had numerous exhibits at the Ethiopian embassy, but I've done them in other places as well. For about a year, my photographs were hanging at a coffee shop on Georgia Avenue called Harar Coffee and Roastery, and I look for opportunities to exhibit them. You know, I've made very large enlargements, and I've carefully captioned them so that people not only see a beautiful picture, but if they read the captions, they'll learn something about Ethiopia and understand the significance of each picture. At some point, I'd like to do a book. I'm not quite there yet. I have a couple regions that I have not visited yet, and before I do my book, I want to visit those 2 regions. They are specifically Benishangul Gumuz and Somali. And once I've been there, then I will have visited every region of Ethiopia, and I'll have something at least to represent each region.
Have you reached so far 1 million pictures?
No.
Do you know?
I don't think
exactly how many? I mean, approximately. Let's be real.
Maybe 50,000.
Maybe 50,000. That's a lot of pictures. That's a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Now, let me take you back to Ethiopia again. I know you had a chance to visit the remains of Lucy when you were in Addis at the National Museum of Ethiopia. Tell me about it, how that visit impacted your realization towards to humanity.
That, together with Alibella, that was one of the really powerful moments of my first visit to Ethiopia. Well, first of all, to get to the bones, you go to a room that's kind of in the basement of the museum. It's even though it's the main attraction in the museum, it's kind of set away in a special area by itself, sort of dimly lit. And I was there, and I was there with my daughter, and we recognized that she is, a direct link to all of humanity. And so in just being there in that room, it occurred to me that really everybody on the planet is Ethiopian. It's just that most people don't realize it. Or if they think about it, they maybe question it, but to me it just became apparent. And so I said, okay, my ancestors were from Germany and Italy, but actually I'm Ethiopian.
You're an Ethiopian.
And so is everybody else.
Well, he's inside Ethiopian, But recently you were awarded with DDEA Award 2017, I think in Maryland. So tell us about that and how you were candidated for that, and what were the criteria, and how did you win that award?
Well, I didn't really compete for it. I was nominated for it, and the nomination was done by a very wonderful friend of mine who happens to be here, TG.
Oh,
and
thanks for coming, TG. Thank you.
The organization is actually a West African, specifically Nigerian entertainment company.
Okay.
They're involved in multimedia, music, videos, TV, cinema, and stuff like that. And every year they have an award program to recognize people who do things for various African countries. And for the most part, it's, African diaspora people who are living in the United States, but who are doing things for various African countries. And for many years, they focused primarily on West Africa. But a few years ago, they began to broaden their focus to all of Africa. and they solicited nominations for people who have made contributions either to Ethiopia or to the Ethiopian diaspora community here in the United States. And so it was because of my photography and some of the other Manaman stuff that I was nominated, and I was honored to get that award.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Matt, we about to wrap up our program due to the time limit that we have, and if I wanted to give you a chance, if there's anything you wanted to say to Ethiopians who live here and abroad, and to the world actually, you know, and do you have anything?
Well, I'll try to do it quickly. I'm involved with a number of organizations. Of course, I've been supporting Wegene for several years, but I'm also on the board of directors of an organization called Ethiopia Reads, which builds libraries for children in Ethiopia.
Okay.
And, you know, I would just say, you know, everybody who's from Ethiopia or who has the opportunity to visit there, find a way to give back. I mean, when you go there, the people are so generous. People who have virtually nothing, you know, will invite you into their homes for coffee and for dabo and things like that. People you just meet on the street do wonderful and generous things, and that touched my heart. I think anybody who goes there and who opens themselves will feel similarly affected. And then, you know, you have to find a way to give back.
Any plans on you going back to Ethiopia?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't tell you specifically, but I will definitely be going back, and not just once or twice.
Okay.
It'll be frequent.
One more thing that you haven't told us: what's the special tie your daughter, the other daughter, have to Ethiopia?
Oh well, yeah, we didn't get around to that. My older daughter is married to an Ethiopian. She brought him here on a fiancé visa. They got married here.
Okay.
They have a son whose name is Malik, and he's my first grandson, first grandchild, and so obviously he's half Ethiopian, and so I'm stuck.
So the bond is getting stronger and stronger, right?
Now there's no escape,
And there's no way out.
But he's a joy. He's a delightful child. He's now 15 months old. He walks. He's starting to talk. He sings. He's a lot of fun.
Matt Andrea, it's really a great honor to have you on the Gera-show. Next time when you come to my show, I'm hoping that, you know, we will be discussing so many things in Amharic. Can you promise that? Menamen.
Right. I'll try.
Matt, it's a great pleasure to have you on the Gera-show.
I'm a Seganalo.
Thank you.
Thank
you for everything you do for us. Greatly appreciate it. እሺ እንግዶቻችን እንግዲህ ፕሮግራማችንን እስካሁን ስለተከታተላችሁልን በኔ በዲያስፖራ ቴሌቪዥንና በጌራ ሾው ስራ ባልደረቦቼ ስም ከልብ እያመሰገንኩኝ የዛሬው ፕሮግራማችንን ስፖንሰር ያደረገልን ሪፍሬሽመንቱና ሁሉንም ነገር መናስሜል ነው። መናስሜል ባለቤት እዚህ መሃላችን ይገኛሉ፣ አቶ ሳህሉ ሚካኤል። Thank you for sponsorship. ፕሮግራማችንን አሁን በዚሁ አጠቃለናል። አንድ ጊዜ ለመላው ዓለም በሚገኙ ተመልካቾች መልእክት ላስተላልፍና ወደ ሪፍሬሽመንት ፕሮግራም እናልፋለን ማለት ነው። እሺ ተመልካቾቻችን እስካሁን ስትከታተሉ የቆያችሁት የጌራን ሾው ከላይቭ ኦዲየንስ ጋር ነበረ። ሁላችሁም ጥሩ ጊዜ እንዳሳለፋችሁ እየተማመንኩኝ አሁንም በድጋሚ በኔ እዚህ መሃላችን ባሉ በተከበሩ እንግዶቻችንና በዲያስፖራ ቴሌቪዥን ስም ፕሮግራማችንን በመላው ዓለማችሁ ስለተከታተላችሁልን ከልብ እያመሰገንኩ አስተያየትና አንዳንድ ነገር ለኛ ማቅረብ የምትፈልጉ በድረገጽ አድራሻችን www.dtv-tv.com ላይ በመግባት ወይም ደግሞ ጌራ ሾውን ፌስቡክ ላይ ፈልጎ ላይክ በማድረግና ቤተሰብ በመሆን ልታደርሱልን ትችላላችሁ። ሁላችሁም ፕሮግራማችንን ስለተከታተላችሁ ከልብ እያመሰገንኩኝ በሌላ ጊዜ ሌላ አዳዲስ እንግዶች ይዤላችሁ እስክቀርብ ድረስ ደህና ቆዩ።